The year is 1580. We are in Madrid, the chosen capital of the most extraordinary empire in human history, an empire upon which, for the first time in the existence of mankind, the sun has been said to never set. Sitting at the absolute center of this colossus is a single, soft-spoken man dressed almost entirely in black. He rules Spain, he rules Portugal, he rules the Netherlands, he rules half of Italy, including Sicily, Naples, and Milan. He rules Mexico, Peru, Chile, Cuba, the Philippines, and territories sweeping across 2 continents in the New World. Galleons heavy with silver from the mines of the Americas cross the Atlantic by the hundreds and pour their cargo into his treasury. Armies fight for him on 3 continents at once. And he, this one man, is trying to govern it all personally, by reading every important letter and signing every important order himself. You are not a duke or a viceroy or a great captain of his armies. You are the king himself. You are a Habsburg, the head of the most powerful royal house in the world, and your name is whispered in fear and reverence from Antwerp to the Andes. Using advanced AI trained on the surviving palaces of Spain, the cathedral tomb of El Escorial, the meticulous Habsburg archives that still fill entire buildings, the dispatches of foreign ambassadors who served at this court, and the painted portraits of the family by the greatest artists of the age, we have reconstructed a single day in the life of a Habsburg king at the absolute summit of his power. Step into the gloomy halls of his palace. But understand the first secret of this empire. The dynasty did not conquer the world primarily with swords. They conquered it with weddings. Every other elite in this series guarded their bloodline. The pharaoh married within his family. The patrician bound his house through arranged marriages. But no dynasty in history did it like the Habsburgs. There was an old saying that haunted the courts of Europe: let others wage war, but you, happy Austria, marry. Generation by generation, your ancestors married heiresses, princesses, and rival cousins, gathering crowns and territories the way other dynasties gathered fortresses, until one Habsburg woke up to discover he had inherited half a world. And to keep that gigantic, sprawling inheritance from slipping back into other hands, the family began to marry each other, cousins to cousins, uncles to nieces, generation after generation, tightening the bloodline. Today, you are the heir to that tightening web, the king of a hemisphere, but the price of all that purity is already beginning to be paid in flesh. You wake in the strangest royal palace in Europe. It is the great monastery palace of El Escorial, rising out of the dry Spanish countryside northwest of Madrid, a colossal granite structure that is at once a royal residence, a monastery, a basilica, a library, and a royal tomb, all fused into a single building of austere, almost frightening severity. Where the French king lives in golden Versailles, you live in something closer to a vast religious fortress. The walls are grey, the corridors are long and shadowed, the chambers are sparse. Your own private bedroom is famously modest, deliberately small, and positioned with a window that looks down directly into the basilica's high altar, so that even from your bed you may hear Mass and gaze upon the Holy Sacrament. You sleep with God, you eat with God. You rule the world from inside what is, in essence, a monk's cell, with an empire attached to it. Your wealth is not displayed in marble nudes or gilded mirrors. It is locked in your treasury, sailing across the oceans in your galleons, and burning in the pure white wax of the candles upon your altars. You are not a sun king, you are something older, harder, and more devout. You are dressed, and your costume is a deliberate statement to all of Europe. Black, almost everything is black. A close-fitting black doublet over black breeches and black stockings, with the only relief a stiff white linen ruff at the throat and white cuffs at the wrists. Black was, in your time, the most expensive color a man could wear, requiring repeated dyeings with rare and costly ingredients to achieve a true, deep, lasting black that did not fade to brown in the sun. Across Europe, the Spanish court led a fashion of severe black dress that other princes anxiously imitated. Upon your chest hangs the Golden Fleece, the supreme chivalric order of the Habsburg house, a small jeweled sheepskin suspended from a heavy collar, marking you and a tiny circle of nobles as the elite of the elite. Your fingers may flash with a single great ring, but the message of your wardrobe is unmistakable. You do not need to dazzle. You are gravity itself. The world bends toward you whether you blaze or not. By mid-morning, the most extraordinary feature of your reign begins, and it is unlike anything in any other court in history. You go to your desk. You see, you have made a fateful decision early in your reign. You will rule this gigantic global empire personally by reading and answering the paperwork yourself. Couriers ride day and night from every corner of your dominions. Letters arrive by the sackload from your viceroys in Mexico City and Lima, from your governors in the Spanish Netherlands and in Milan, from your ambassadors at every European court, from your admirals at sea, from inquisitors and treasurers and bishops, all reporting, all asking, all requesting decisions only the king himself may make. You read them. You write notes in the margins in your tight, careful hand. You compose replies. Foreign envoys called you, with grudging awe, the king of paper. Other monarchs hunt and feast and dance through their reigns. You sit hour upon hour at your wooden desk, ruling continents through ink. The problem, of course, is time. A letter from Lima can take half a year to reach you, and your reply will take another half a year to arrive. By the time your orders sail across the Atlantic, the world they were meant for has changed. A famous joke of the age was that if death came from Spain, we would all live forever. You are trying to micromanage a world too vast for any single man to keep in his head, and the strain shows in your stooped shoulders and tired, watchful eyes. By late morning, the rivers of wealth that feed your power demand attention. Twice a year, vast convoys of treasure galleons cross the Atlantic, escorted by warships, carrying silver from the great mines of Spanish America, and especially from one mountain in the high Andes, whose silver alone has helped to refinance not only your empire, but the entire economy of Europe. Spanish silver coins are minted in such enormous numbers that they will circulate as a kind of global currency for centuries, all the way across Asia. But this fountain of money is also your curse. You spend it as fast as it arrives, and faster. Your wars are endless and ruinously expensive. You finance armies in the Netherlands fighting a long, grinding rebellion. You bankroll fleets in the Mediterranean against the Ottomans, including the famous galley battle in which a holy league of Christian powers shattered the Turkish fleet at Lepanto. You support Catholic causes in France, in Central Europe, everywhere. Your treasury, despite the silver, repeatedly declares bankruptcy during your reign, restructuring its debts to the great German and Italian banking houses that finance the entire enterprise. You are the richest king in the world and chronically broke. And then comes the family question, the dark heart of your dynasty. Your marriages, like those of all Habsburgs, are arranged to consolidate the bloodline. Over the course of your life, your wives have included a Portuguese princess who was your double first cousin, an English queen who was your first cousin once removed, a French princess from a related house, and your own niece, the daughter of your sister. By marrying your niece, you sealed the union of the Spanish and Austrian branches of the Habsburg family, yet more tightly together. But the children of these marriages are not flourishing. Many of your sons have died young, sickly, or feeble. The grim work of geneticists in later centuries, examining your family tree, would conclude that the relentless intermarriage of Habsburg cousins, uncles, and nieces produced a level of inbreeding rivaling that of brother-sister marriage by the end of the line. Your great-great-grandson, the last Spanish Habsburg, would be born with a jaw so deformed he could not chew his food properly, ill from birth, unable to produce an heir, and his death would end the Spanish dynasty itself and trigger a vast European war. The strategy that built the empire is slowly eating its own children. In the afternoon, you may leave your desk briefly, but even your leisure is restrained. You walk in the gardens around El Escorial, attended by a few intimates. You inspect the building works of your monastery palace, for you have personally supervised every detail of its design, layout, and ornamentation, becoming one of the great patron builders of the age. You visit your astonishing private library with its frescoed ceilings and shelves of ancient and contemporary books, in many cases turned outward to display the gilded edges of their pages rather than their spines, a deliberate aesthetic statement that even your books are arranged for beauty. You may sit before a new painting that has just arrived from one of the great masters of the day, commissioned by your court. Your collection includes works that will one day stand among the most treasured masterpieces in any museum on earth. But you yourself are quiet, withdrawn, often melancholy, a king who finds his deepest pleasure not in spectacle, but in the silent contemplation of beauty, books, and faith. In the evening, you dine in solemn ceremony. The Habsburg court of Spain is famous across Europe for the rigid, almost suffocating formality of its etiquette, and even your supper is governed by ancient ritual. Nobles of the highest rank approach the table on bended knee. Dishes are presented with elaborate ceremony, each course tasted in advance against the threat of poison. The food itself is rich and global in a way no king before this age has ever known. Your American empire has sent into European kitchens for the first time tomatoes, potatoes, chili peppers, vanilla, and above all, chocolate, the dark spiced drink that has become a craze among the Spanish nobility, sipped from finely worked cups in the late afternoons. Sugar arrives by the shipload from your Caribbean plantations. Spices flow in from your Asian holdings. Around your candlelit table, you eat the first truly globalized cuisine in human history, foods that no king on earth before you could have tasted in a single meal. Yet you eat in austere silence, often alone, the king who rules half the world withdrawing into his own thoughts, even at his own table. Late at night, you return to your austere bedroom, the candles burning low. Beyond your window, the basilica is dark and silent. Beyond the basilica, your empire of two hemispheres turns in the night, and you, the man at the center of it all, are tired, devout, and increasingly haunted by what comes next. For when you die, your end will be the most theatrical and most religious of any in this entire series. You have been preparing for your death your entire reign. The great monastery palace you built was designed from the beginning to be your tomb and the tombs of your family. Beneath the basilica lies the royal pantheon, a chamber lined entirely in dark marble and gold, where rank upon rank of identical marble sarcophagi hold the bodies of Spanish Habsburg kings and queens, generation upon generation, stacked together for eternity in a single sacred vault. You will lie there too, alongside your ancestors and your descendants. Your funeral will be a solemn affair of black-draped chambers, masses sung for your soul, and processions of priests with candles, for the Habsburgs took the rituals of death more seriously than perhaps any other dynasty. A specific phrase will be spoken in the ceremony of welcoming your body into the pantheon, asking who comes to enter here, with the answer given that it is the most high, most powerful, most Catholic king who at the gates of the tomb is reduced, like all men, to dust. Where the pharaoh built a pyramid to escape death and the Roman a roadside monument, you do something different. You build a single eternal house for your entire dynasty and you join it. Your immortality is not personal, it is family. It is the long marble corridor of kings and queens who came before you, and the empty sarcophagi waiting for the kings and queens who will come after, all sealed together beneath the altar of God. That was the life of a Habsburg king at the height of his empire. A life of unimaginable power and crushing responsibility, of a sprawling, bewildering, gold and silver world, ruled from a desk by a single quiet man in black. They built the first truly global empire in history, conquered a hemisphere with marriages, and bankrupted themselves, trying to defend it all at once. The dynasty eventually paid the ultimate price for its own purity, the bloodline closing in on itself until it could no longer produce an heir, and the Spanish branch of the family died out in a feeble king's broken body. But El Escorial still rises out of the Spanish plain, the pantheon of kings still waits beneath its altar, and the silver coins of their empire still surface, here and there, in the soil of 3 continents, the eternal echo of a family that once tried to inherit the world. History remembers the conquerors who took empires by the sword, but the Habsburgs proved for a glittering century that you could simply marry one instead.